What's going on, guys? This is Ryan. I wanted to walk you through one of my favorite strategies, one of the most fun things I get to do while pushing, and that's the smoking HRZCM to the back of a base. It works really well on these double shield shock blaster bases because the shock blaster doesn't immediately kill your Zookas. It is most effective when the shock blaster is against the HQ like this, so that you don't have to actually go through an additional splash damage thing like a flamethrower or something like that to reach the prototype that's in the middle there. So the concept is you GBE one rocket on the choice of your side, already tag the second one in the middle, smoke to the back, throw a critter box to distract the immediate fire of the mortar and the shock launchers, universal remote the rocket, and then shock the shock launcher and the mortar that are in range of you. And you clear down from there. You usually can do one cryo bomb or a critter box or something and one more shock. You need to clear up through this machine gun, at least before you flare. Make sure there's nothing you're just going to be walking straight through. And then you can flare the shock launcher directly and walk past the HQ to get there. Shock the shock launcher on the left, and you're pretty much free at that point. Key thing to keep in mind is that it's kind of a critical mass troop, so you need to keep as much as possible alive for this point, because you do tend to lose a lot of troops right at this flare here. If you have enough GBE for another flare, or for another shock, that's great. You don't necessarily need to kill this shock launcher, you just need to get enough destroyed that it doesn't outpower the passive critters from Everspark. So that was this attack. This was 5 ice against one of my good friends, Garchis. I'll go up to you and show you the next base I took down. I'll show you one of the fails I had. Let's see which, this is probably it. So here's an example of the beginning. The beginning smoke is super important because since it's a critical mass troop, and since HRZCM is so hard to flare, or to smoke, if you lose even just a couple at the beginning, it can cause your medics to hang back, and then the medics will get stuck out of the smoke and they'll die, and it'll all just kind of snowball, and you won't have enough troops at the very beginning of your attack, and you'll never make it in time. So you can see some of my stuff got stunned a little bit late. A medic peeked out of the smoke, and once they get hit, all the other medics fly to the back to help them. And I think I only made it with one medic gone and a handful of one medic left, and then a handful of Zookas, and it didn't even look that bad, but just that is enough to end up costing you the attack, because you don't have the support to keep your troops alive, you don't have the firepower to make it through the base, and I ended up having to use one extra shock, I think, or one extra cryo bomb, and then I didn't have the GBE for a shock, and I just had to sit there trying to get more GBE, and it never really came, and I ran out of speed here. So that was kind of why it's so important to focus on keeping everything right together. Make sure you're perfect on that first bit. And here's where I got the attack. You can see I deployed a little bit more to the right here, so I hit this shock mine right away, made sure I smoked directly on top of it so nothing peeked out of the smoke on that start of the walk. It's important to deploy your heavies and wait a minute before you deploy Everspark, or the boom cannon's going to hit Everspark, and that's really, really annoying to deal with. So get everything under the smoke right there, smoke, 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 and nothing's peeking, so all my medics can make it. And you say I deployed the smoke late enough that they all made it out of there before. Throw the last smoke before the second last smoke, so your troops peek before your medics, as usual. You can actually sit on these flamethrowers. You sometimes need a medkit, sometimes don't, but you don't really need to worry about them too much. I throw them more just to be safe because I had the GB. So once you get that, same thing, shock the shock launcher. This base was a little bit harder because it was spread out more. The rocket didn't cover the shock launcher, so I couldn't hit them both in one shock, and the flame on top of the rocket was a little bit annoying. But with efficient GBE use and everything, it's still pretty much the same attack. The shock launcher was a little bit harder to reach, so I ended up skipping it. Clear this machine gun, then flare over, one shock, and clear that I made sure I had to clear this machine gun. I had the time where I was trying to just flare the boom cannon on the left and then universal remote the shock launcher, and it just didn't work at all. But at that point there was only a boom cannon and the shock launcher left in range, so I just said whatever and reflared, and it worked out. You see Ever Spark runs over, yeah, I'm gonna hit that shock launcher, just kidding. So anyway, this is a 6 ice base, 6 boosted ice. Just wanted to show you this attack is a whole lot of fun when it works, and it's really, really effective on bases of this style. So I hope you enjoyed. Hope you can try this out sometime. Until next time, my name is Ryan. Happy booming.